Hello, 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 and welcome back to Coach's Corner. It is a Wednesday, July 10th in the evening time. But alas, no worries, I'll update you on the schedule probably towards the end of the episode. But to start off, we do have a great show. We have a star receiver that might be in for a rude awakening. We have the Reds with another player that's really fun to watch. But we have to start off with something that's probably going to get me fired up, probably going to make me upset as I talk about it. There's a video game and the ratings for it have dropped. Now, if you don't know, NCAA college football is making a return. It has been discontinued for close to 10 years, if not more than 10 years. NCAA 14 was the last time it was released. College Football 25 is the version being released this year. So, it hasn't been a thing because of NIL, all that good stuff. Got discontinued because of the whole pay players type of situation. And now we are finally back. We are days away from seeing NCAA college football return to my video game screen. And for a lot of you, it won't matter. For a lot of you, you'll be like, whatever, it's a video game that's cruddy. I won't really care about it. But for me, growing up in an era where there are video games, it's a very regular part of my life. It's a way I interact with my friends now that we're all kind of in our own areas of the world, or Georgia, I should say. It's something that unites us all, and something that will bring us all together and make us all have joy and anger towards each other as we play each other. But there's something that they did today that have frankly just pissed me off, and that is dropped the ratings for the players that are in the game. And the thing about video game ratings are, for the most part, they are a joke. If you look at Madden over the years, it has largely been I'd say a bad product when it comes to the ratings. And it's funny because they have jobs that are specific to these people that make the ratings. That is literally their entire job. And they still get it wrong, it feels like. NBA 2K has been a victim of this as well, as they just kind of throw 90s to every player and 87 to any player that you should consider probably the team's best player. And it pisses me off because, I feel like the ratings should be reflective. They should actually matter and be realistic. But alas, feels like they aren't. And College Football 25, like I said, they came out with their ratings, and I frankly don't think they are accurate. Now, it is cool because no player in the game is a 99. And I feel like that is a fair assessment of college football. No player is the best player on earth right now. But there were some other aspects of it that made me angry. And now I can't say that I'm going to go player by player and be like, oh, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. Because, that's just kind of petty. And some of them I feel like are accurate. Ollie Gordon is a really good running back. Now, I don't know if his awareness rating is very good right now because of the whole, drinking up thing. But he's pretty good. Luther Burden's a really good player, and he's rated as such. But as most people do, they're drawn immediately to quarterbacks. And I, of course, had to look at the quarterback ratings, and I did see, to my pleasure, that Carson Beck is the best quarterback in the game, as he should be, in my biased opinion. But Shedeur Sanders is tied with Carson Beck for being the best quarterback in the nation. And, I don't even have anything against Shedeur Sanders. I did it last year. I did think Colorado was overhyped, which we're going to get to here in a second. That's a different discussion here, but Shedeur Sanders is okay. I think he's, better than probably people have given him, haters probably give him credit for. But the fact that he's tied for being the best quarterback in the country with Carson Beck, frankly, is a joke. And I get it. It's the name that really draws people in, kind of like Arch Manning. But you don't see Arch Manning ranked. He's probably not going to be ranked or rated very highly. He just opted into the game for, a whole NIL deal or whatever. He's not going to be rated as highly as Shedeur Sanders, and he shouldn't be. But once again, Shedeur Sanders is not the best quarterback in college football. I would argue he's not top 5. It's just because of that last name. It's just because of the team he's on, the notoriety that they have. That's the reason why he's a 93. And then everything kind of comes into the rating where it's like, accuracy, throw power, awareness, play action, stuff like that. And then I saw Carson Beck's accuracy is only a 77. And then Jalen Milroe, who was has the best accuracy out of the top 10 quarterbacks at a 93. Now, I'm sorry. I don't know what Looney Tunes world we're living in where that is a rating that actually I read on my screen. But that's not accurate at all. Like, Jalen Milrose would be rated high because of his athleticism, because he is a playmaker, kind of like Shedeur Sanders. It's not because he's throwing lasers across the field and, like, placing it perfectly. Like, it's because he can throw the long ball very far and his receivers happen to run under it. That's why his rating's a 93. It's not Carson Beck, who, frankly, I was looking at his ratings. I don't know how he's a 93 because none of his ratings stood out where it was like, that's the reason why he's really good. His accuracy is probably the reason why he's really good and why he probably should be the best quarterback rated in the game. And it's only a 77, which, in terms of the other players that were on the list, is just not really a fair representation of how good he is. And so that brings me to my point about the whole ratings as a whole, because we look at Colorado and it's the team ratings now. It's their, like, how good is their offense, how good is their defense. And their defense isn't rated very well, obviously. But their offense is rated, I believe, 16th. I think the team as a whole might be 16th or around that range. I'm sorry, but a team that was 4-8 during the season ended on an 8-game losing streak is not in the teens of, being the best team in the country. They are not a top 25 team. They might not even be a top 50 team. Yet Colorado gets that nod from EA because I bet EA knows that a lot of people will want to play as Colorado. They don't want to make the team that people want to play as complete ass, like they are in real life. So that was another joke because, like, I don't understand. It's just one of those things where it feels wrong to mess up things where there are so many people that can tell you, hey, I think that's a little fishy. I think that's a little wrong. That's a little off basis. Like, there's so many people that watch football and could have told you that Colorado is not a top 25 team. They're not close to a top 25 team. So many people could have told you that. Now, it's like, it's not even one of those where it's like, Colorado's definitely was like a big storyline last year just because the media hyped them up so much. But anyone with eyes that watches football can tell you that team was not a top 25 team. And yet here they are. So it's one of those things where it's not a big deal in the grand scheme of sports. It's not. It's just a personal gripe that I have with a video game that's coming out. And like I said, it's just one of those things where common sense has to prevail at some point, and I feel like it should have with this situation just because we all have eyes. We can, like, even if you looked at the on-field product and be like, those 8 losses weren't representative of what Colorado was. But the thing is, it was very representative of who they were. They were a very one-dimensional offense that relied heavily on their quarterback to make game-changing plays and Travis Hunter to be the best player in college football on both sides of the ball, which he is rated highly, and that's fair. But like I said, Shedeur Sanders he kind of came back down to earth and proved he was human, and it's also a thing, the numbers all look very gaudy for him because he did have to throw 60 times a game. Any college quarterback, I feel like, that is decent and has to throw the ball 60 times a game, I think their numbers are going to look good. So it's just a failure on, I feel like, people that frankly just should know better. And I mean, maybe it is just something to rile us up and make us angry before the game drops and makes people more locked into it and edit it and play it more. Regardless, it just feels wrong. But there is a player, like I said, in Madden who is rated like a very highly, probably a 99. That is Justin Jefferson. But moving out of the video game space, Justin Jefferson had comments on the Rich Eisen show, which he appeared on. And, frankly, in the grand scheme of things, like bigger picture, they weren't bad. He basically just kind of mentioned how he wasn't mad at Kirk Cousins for leaving the Vikings to go to the Falcons, that it was a business decision, which of course it makes a lot of sense. But, I have to fire back on that. And it's not at Justin Jefferson because, like I said, I understand he probably meant it as like a business move. It made sense for Kirk Cousins. He had his time in Minnesota. He was ready to leave. But I feel like he's quickly going to come to the realization that he will be mad at Kirk Cousins. He will be very upset with Kirk Cousins once the season goes underway. And that's because of the reason of the on-field play. And that's because J.J. McCarthy and Sam Darnold are slated to throw the ball to Justin Jefferson this season. Now, I don't know about you, but I think Kirk Cousins is a tad bit better than those guys. Not a tad bit better, a lot bit better. I think Kirk Cousins is a fringe top 10 quarterback when healthy. Obviously, we'll see if he's healthy. And Justin Jefferson just kind of got to skate with that throughout his entire 4-year career at this point. But regardless, he's had that level of QB play for 4 seasons now. He's eclipsed 1,000 yards in every season, even last year where he was injury riddled and played 10 games, but 1,000 yards every season he's played. And now he's getting guys who either is a rookie or is a player on his 1, 2, 3, fourth NFL team. And I like Sam Darnold. I've always kind of like had a soft spot for Sam Darnold because I did think he was going to be better than what he has been. But then he went to the Jets, bleh. And then he went to the Panthers, bleh. And then he was just a backup in 49er land last year. So like whatever. But even then, I can't sit here and tell you Sam Darnold's going to really give Justin Jefferson the ball in ways that he needs to. I'm not going to say that Justin Jefferson will be a diva because I don't think he's been, frankly, that since he came into the league because he's just been so good. But I could imagine some situations where Justin Jefferson gets a little angry at his sideline because of the quarterback play. Because of Sam Darnold's, I would say, lack of skill in being a cohesive or competent NFL quarterback like how Kirk Cousins was. And I could see J.J. McCarthy also just struggling because I don't believe in J.J. McCarthy like that. I'll say J.J. McCarthy could probably set up Justin Jefferson in a way that he'll make some highlight plays, but it's not because of, great throws from J.J. McCarthy. It'll be because J.J. McCarthy sailed it 10 yards over his head and Justin Jefferson had to make a circus catch. Now, like I said, I say that and say I think he's in for a rude awakening. I think the Vikings will be a subpar team that he's been used to. They've kind of competed and flirted with the playoffs here and there, but they haven't really had success, obviously. But I think it's going to be a brutal year one for this Vikings team without Kirk Cousins. And that's just, it's a learning curve. And I feel like it's something that it's one of those you don't realize how good you had until it's gone. And although, like I said, it wasn't perfect under Kirk Cousins, the Vikings weren't, crazy contenders under Kirk Cousins. But there's that level of steady QB play where you know what you're getting. And I think the Vikings don't know what they're going to get here. And I think that'll cause some ruffled feathers, I think, early on in this J.J. McCarthy Vikings partnership. I'm not even going to mention Sam Darnold there. But Justin Jefferson got paid, so I'm sure he's not too torn up about it. It's still something to watch. Now, moving on to the baseball world, where the Reds once again have another very cool player. A player like Rece Hinds, who was called up on Monday, has quickly made an impression on the team. 2 days worth of just dingers. It came up on Monday, hit a dinger. Yesterday, hit a dinger. I think he's pretty good. He gets on base. He gets a lot of bases. That's kind of his thing so far. And obviously that happens with rookies sometimes where they come up and they are really good. And maybe they will come back down to earth. It just kind of is natural. Austin Riley came into the league as a rookie and was just torching people. And then he had a very rough end to that rookie season, but he's picked it back up. But for now, Rece Hinds has added to the stable of fun Reds players like Matt McClain, Ellie De La Cruz, and it will be interesting to see how long he can keep this going. And obviously they are playing the Colorado Rockies, so I think a lot of people could crush the ball against them. But, I feel like it is a very cool story to watch and monitor. The Reds are one of those teams where it feels weird because they kind of flirt with that playoff, like, hey, we're young and super fun, and we're right here at the edge of the wild card, but they just can't get over the hump. And it's also cool because they're in the division with the Pirates, who are also a team that's also just bringing up young talent constantly and are kind of flirting with that, hey, we're in the baby version of our team core, and we want to make that jump. And it'll be interesting to see if Hinds can stick around this year, if the Reds make any moves at the deadline. The Reds seem like one of those teams where it's just like it'd be good for baseball if they were good. It's like the Orioles. The Orioles environment now is very fun. Like I said, they're a very young team, but they're also very fun. And I feel like there's more teams that, obviously they don't spend, but they're at that doorstep where it's like, hey, maybe they could if I mean, I don't think the Red Zone will ever spend, but if they flirt with some winning, maybe the fills up. And I think the Reds are one of those teams where it'd be cool to see their ballpark kind of rocking if they did manage to get into a wild card series or something. But, like I said, they got to fight off teams like the Pirates, a team that's well established now, in the Brewers, and the Cardinals are also just the Cardinals being being good. So they have some competition, but Rece Hinds, very cool story to see him come up immediately and make an impact like that. So that was cool to watch. And we'll see. I mean, baseball's kind of got some fun stuff going on. The Phillies and Dodgers are playing right now, their series right now, and Phillies curb stomped the Dodgers. I think people were very high on the Dodgers early on. They still are because they're the Dodgers, but I feel like they're kind of gearing up for another disappointment just because they kind of like to do that. It's kind of a Dodgers thing to do, and Dave Roberts will probably be on the way out, if I had to guess, or he'll retire if they end up bowing out of the playoffs early. That's just my take, my opinion. But hey, I don't know. We'll see in the MLB world what happens with that. But that'll do it for me. Kind of a shorter episode here with Coach's Corner, but I do have some updates. New format of the show. Basically, I'm 680 The Fan, I'm working with them. I got switched to a new schedule where I'm working 10 to 2. That's kind of exactly when I record these normally, and that's normally I'd put it out earlier. But I'm going to change that a little bit, and I think instead we're going to take off Fridays, like Friday evenings. We're basically like, I'll record it this time. This will be a new normal time for me. And then Friday evening, I'll just take off because, I mean, sorry to the loyal listener, but I don't think you want to listen to me on a Friday night before going out or something. That's just probably what my opinion. I wouldn't do it, so I wouldn't expect you to. So we're just going to shift to a Monday to Thursday type of schedule, I think. And I think that'll be the best way moving forward for the show, for good shows and all that good stuff. So with all that being said, I am your host, Lucas Kochevar. As always, make sure you like, share, subscribe. Podcast on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, wherever you get your podcast from, wherever you do listen to this from. And I will see you guys next time. Goodbye.